All right, hello. Can y'all hear me? I'm going live. So let me know if you can hear me. Or let me know if you can't hear me. Because I'm just randomly on live. So no real plan, just thought I would go on live. Looking at these previews, flipping through them. Uh my son ripped them out. So yeah, here's the cover. My son did a little number on, but he was just really excited. Oh, Venom on the back. There you go. Some Venom action for you. So just gonna read through these previews real quick. And yeah, here's the front. Starting off with Venom. Um, this is looks like it's interior art with Al Ewing and let me see who's writing Venom. It's Al Ewing and Ram V from DC normally. So it's cool to see him in two places. I know he's one of the hotter DC writers. Tom Taylor's one of the other hot DC writers now too. So hold on. I don't know why I'm super dark. Just saying. All right. Still kind of dark. Oh, does that help? All right. What about now? No? Can you? Anyway, I'm still here. I don't know why I'm super dark right now, but I'm really here. I don't know if you can see me, but it's my face. But then the screen brightens up when I put the picture of Venom here. So anyway, here you go. Boom. Venom, Brian Hicks. Pretty much a no-brainer. I'll at least check out the first issue. I'm not the biggest Brian Hicks fan. I don't know if there's anyone out there on the internet a big Brian Hicks fan. I was a big Brian Hicks fan around the time of the Ultimates and Ultimates 2. He made a really good book on comic books, how to draw comics, kind of a comic book tutorial. He had an interesting uh, America's Got Superheroes or American Superhero Talent. He had a good image book, I guess, dang, like 10 years ago now. 8 to 10 years ago, something like that. But that was a good book. He was on Hawkman with Kevin Nolan as his inker, so that was amazing too. Yeah, Brian Hitch is great. And this preview artwork looks really cool. So if you can go online and look up these October previews from Marvel, they're pretty awesome. Then we have the Amazing Spider-Man Beyond. So boom, Amazing Spider-Man. It's probably a nicer way for me to do this where I just show you my screen and I don't have to pick up a physical book and you can just screen share and see what I'm looking at as I scroll through my screen. But anyway, we're live, so we're just going to improvise. This cover is by Arthur Adams, this Amazing Spider-Man Beyond. This is Amazing Spider-Man issue 75. So all of this kicked off as a result of Nick Spencer leaving to go to Substack. So now they've just put together a quick and dirty little group of people go and get the job done in the meantime, kind of like what happened with Brand New Day. But I'd like to see Salvador Larroca come back. I thought he was really good on Brand New Day. Steve McNiven was there for a little while, but he's been upgraded to covers. I guess he's too expensive now, so he won't be making any interior appearances. But he does some great Moon Knight covers right now. But yeah, Brand New Day actually had Salvador Larroca, was that Humberto Ramos too? Salvador, Steve McNiven. I feel like there were a lot of good artists at that point on Spider-Man, all kind of rotating in and out with this is 3 times a month, and I think Brand New Day might have been around that too. But that was kind of that time they kicked off Dan Slott's run on the book. So gosh, that's been a forever ago, but he was the one that kind of hung around after it was a group of writers that all came together. The group of writers here looks like it's Kelly Thompson, Saladin Ahmed, Cody Ziegler. I don't know who Cody Ziegler is. I'm gonna look though. Who is Cody Ziegler? I've never heard of any comic books by Cody. LA-based podcast producer? I don't know. Zigzaggy Kane. I don't know. Never heard of this person before in my life. I write and direct, but I mostly be chilling. Disney plus She-Hulk. Okay, I guess he works for Marvel Entertainment doing She-Hulk normally? I don't know. I'm just really just typed his name in. Looks like he just posts some different comics related stuff on his Twitter here. Looks like he was a story editor on Rick and Morty. I don't know. So that's cool. That could be an interesting wild card. Going on MarvelComics.com right now to see. Looks like he wrote some of this new Miles Morales Clone Saga stuff. So, oh, hey, what's going on, Jeff? I just went back over here. Hey. Yeah, Jeff, how you doing? I'm just on here saying random nonsense. I'm just reading through the previews from Marvel for October. So you got something to look forward to. So yeah, we got the little slick Arthur Adams cover here. So Arthur Adams is starting to look a lot like Nick Bradshaw, or Nick Bradshaw has gotten so good at being Arthur Adams' clone that now we're kind of in a really surreal, uncanny valley situation where I thought this drawing was Nick Bradshaw, but this was actually Arthur Adams. Looks like Arthur Adams does most covers for the Amazing Spider-Man going forward. And then the story is about clones. So it's all very meta for me right now. This is a lot to take in, but it looks great. Arthur Adams is a great artist, and Nick Bradshaw is great. I love Nick Bradshaw from Wolverine and the X-Men. That was really amazing. But yeah, it looks like he's drawn Ben Reilly and Peter Parker together. Looks really good. You got a few variant covers here. Got back to me. Thank you for the Manco recommendations. I really enjoyed Kaiju number 8, and I'm currently second one. Yes. Kaiju number 8 is really good, and it goes by so fast. It's the only criticism I have for Kaiju number 8. You just read it, and it gets such a great momentum going, and then you look up and you've read all of it, and then it takes maybe once a month or there's pretty long breaks between updates on Kaiju number 8. I mean, it's definitely worth it because the artist is amazing, and I really appreciate what manga artists are trying to do right now, and just trying to avoid burnout. The Chainsaw Man artist, he's taking a break. I believe the artist that did Hell's Paradise, Yuka Kuroku, he finished this series and he's taking a break. So I like Tite Kubo from Bleach is, of course, on break. He kind of pops in and out to do random different stuff. So I like that artists now are trying to actually pace themselves in Japan too, and not just go all out full speed like Ichiro Oda. I mean, one of the most popular besides One Piece comic books in the world, Demon Slayer, that artist is on break right now. That artist created Demon Slayer, I believe, added like $2 billion, something crazy, to their economy in Japan, and now they're laying low. I mean, why not though? It doesn't make sense to keep killing yourself month in and month out, and you've won. You succeeded. You created the most popular comic book in the world, so I think you deserve to take some time off, especially after a breakneck weekly pace to get the book out in the first place. And I believe there's 23 volumes of Demon Slayer. So it was like 4 or 5 years straight of every week working. Yeah, so glad you like Sakamoto Days too. That's one of those ones that I really enjoy, but I also have children and I kind of see it from that perspective. I don't know if everybody that reads it gets it or will enjoy it for the same reasons, but I feel like good is good. So I'm glad to hear Sakamoto can kind of stand on its own. Has a lot of great action scenes. It's good. It's a really good comic book. it's kind of down a similar vein as Way of the House Husband, but Way of the House Husband is almost like maybe not shoujo, but I don't know, a weird hybrid shoujo shonen mix. But I feel like Sakamoto is very squarely an action series, very squarely a shonen series. So I like it. Um, don't forget about Red Hood though, and what's the other one? Oh, and Mashley or Mashal, Magic and Muscles. Don't forget about that one. That's a great one too. Oh, and I appreciate the thumbs up. I don't know if that's you that gave me a thumbs up, but yeah, everybody that's watching this in the current day and future, be sure to thumbs me up a little bit. So I appreciate y'all for the thumbs up. Maybe I can even get more than 2 people on my live stream at any one time. I don't know. Fingers crossed. We'll work on it though. Yeah. So what else is some good manga since you've read Kaiju number 8 and caught up? Red Hood, Mashley, Magic and Muscles. My Hero Academia is kind of long, but I mean, honestly, you can kind of jump in halfway through My Hero Academia and pretty much catch the gist of what's going on, like around maybe 200, chapter 200 or so. I don't know if that's bad. I don't know if that's frowned upon or it's illegal. Oh, don't jump, don't skip, man. Don't skip any pieces of any manga or comic or whatever. But hey, just jump in wherever you feel most comfortable. Oh, Orange Canara. Hey, what's going on? How you doing? Appreciate you jumping in. How's life? What you get into this weekend? How's your movie watching going? Have you made it through your list of movies? I just jumped on randomly right now. I didn't have any plan. I'm just going through these through the Marvel solicitations for October. So yeah, they got this Amazing Spider-Man. Looks like it's a group of writers. Saladin Ahmed is from Miles Morales, so I'm curious to see if maybe they bring Miles Morales into Amazing Spider-Man or how that's going to go. I think Patrick Gleason is writing and drawing, and I mean, I'm glad to see it. Over at DC when he was doing Batman and Robin, he was writing, and it seems like DC just constantly shifted around him and would never let him get his footing and write what he wants to write. But looks like, and then Superman with Super Sons, I think he was writing on that too. So yeah, I'm happy to see him finally get what he wants, which is being able to write a story, a continuous story with one continuous thread and plan and idea. I don't know how much of it carries over from what he was doing with Nick Spencer, but I'm just glad to see it happening at all. He's the most talented artist Marvel has by far. He hasn't been able to use his full abilities. I feel like his skill has been kind of dampened. But if you go back and look at Batman and Robin, he goes all out, creates a lot of great textures, great lighting. His character designs are always on point, really creative compositions. But I mean, at Marvel, I think they kind of told him to pump the brakes because no one else draws quite as dynamically, and better for him to just kind of fall into their house style, and people won't really be able to tell if he's on the book, not on the book. If he misses issue, doesn't miss an issue, they can have somebody fill in. But when he's going all out, he's untouchable. Oh, Jeff, you see the No Way Home leaks? Yeah, I did see that. It took a little bit of doing, and I was late to the party. I saw it yesterday, but it was late at night, and apparently it had leaked earlier in the day or Saturday even. I don't know, but yeah, it leaked early, and I missed it. But I saw a version of it that I guess is like on a phone through a phone on TikTok. I don't know if that's the only version. Some people said that was the only version. Then they said Sony was taking stuff off of YouTube, so I don't know what got posted on YouTube, but yeah, I'm kind of I mean, I think the Spider-Man No Way Home thing is cool. It's interesting. I'm not that excited for it though, because I still don't think Spider-Man has gotten that real opportunity to just be Spider-Man. These new MCU Spider-Man movies, well, MCU universe Spider-Man movies, but Sony owned Spider-Man movies because I believe they own Spider-Man in perpetuity as long as they make more movies with him. They own the film rights. But anyway, he's never been allowed to just be Peter Parker recently. Amazing Spider-Man 1, okay, yeah, you can hate on the Andrew Garfield storyline, but at least they let him be a teenager for a little while. Um, I don't know. The first Spider-Man, he was in high school for a little bit, but he only got bullied the one time. They never really dwell on the soap opera aspect of Spider-Man. I feel like that's been missing so much. They never really show him juggling, trying to get to school, trying to hold down a job, trying to go out with a girl, and trying to be Spider-Man, and trying to get the pictures for work, and trying to get the. I feel like Spider-Man 2 at the beginning got a lot of it, but then when it jumps into the action, they just never look back. And then Spider-Man Far From Home did a little bit of it as he was trying to. I think the most successful part, kind of what I was talking about, is when he's on the bus and he kind of tries to have to destroy the little Mysterio drones, and that part was interesting. Or the the parts when he's kind of overwhelmed. He's trapped in Mysterio's world, but he's at the construction site. So those are the scenes I think that make Spider-Man Spider-Man, when he's overwhelmed, when the odds are against him, when there's no clear way for him to win, but he just manages to stick it out and he overcomes it through just willpower. I think that's why him and Batman are the two most popular comic book characters in the world. They have that in common. They're really just plain humans. Spider-Man does have powers, but he's always put up against people with better powers, or his powers don't work like in Spider-Man 2, or he can't use his powers like in Far From Home because that'll reveal his identity. So him and Batman have that in common, that they win because they just have the will. They have to win. They just use intelligence and just willpower. Um, and I feel like No Way Home is getting away from that totally. There's no Spider-Man isn't Spider-Man anymore in these stories. As much as I like Into the Spider-Verse, we only got a little taste of it at the very beginning of Miles getting his powers, and then getting a lot of pigeon stuff stuck to him and trying to or he's testing out his powers, trying to see how it works, and he gets scared and goes up and down the stairs at the building to test his jumping. So they touch it a little bit, but they never dwell in it the same way Stan Lee did and Steve Ditko did, and really create a cast of characters around him in his school life. We get a little bit of his school life in Homecoming, but they just really give us a taste. They don't really dwell on his high school life. They made the character look younger. They got a younger actor, and they put him in high school, but he never stays in high school. He goes straight into Endgame, straight into Infinity War, straight into these bigger cosmic conflicts, and all on another planet on Titan, and fighting with the Infinity Gauntlet, and the Iron Spider arms come out, and all of it gets away from the core of the character. So I would have liked to see more focus on his just regular life, and I feel like it got away. I feel like immediately they threw Iron Man in, and everything. The focus it's a Spider-Man movie just in name. They shifted the focus away from Spider-Man completely. And which is strange because it seems like they're afraid that if they just make it a Spider-Man movie, people won't care and no one's going to watch a Spider-Man movie. So they put Robert Downey Jr. in the first one, then they put Nick Fury in the second one, and then in the third one they have Doctor Strange. But all of those characters were irrelevant back when Sam Raimi was directing and making smash mega Spider-Man movies that just blew up. So I really don't understand the logic behind making him a supporting character in his own movies every time. And then I think they're trying to put Daredevil in the new version, and it just really I feel like the purpose of Spider-Man has gotten away from Marvel. Or maybe this is what Sony has always wanted, because they want to explore Spider-Man more in detail in their Venom and their Morbius and their Sinister Six universe and dig more into that character there. But it seems like Venom even got more development of his job and career as a reporter in the new Venom movie with Tom Hardy, and he's struggling and trying to make things work with Michelle Williams, and she's not having it. And I feel like he was more Peter Parker than Peter Parker was. Eddie Brock is more sympathetic, and you understand his passions and his motivations as a person in the first Venom movie more than you understand Peter Parker in Homecoming. I think his struggles, his shortcomings are a lot more clear. him trying to balance. Um, everything is a lot less. Everything is a lot less focused on universe building because Venom technically isn't a part of the MCU, or he is and isn't. He's in like this gray area where he gets to develop. I think that's really cool. I appreciate them letting Eddie Brock be his own character and breathe. Morbius the same way. Weirdly, Craven too. I don't know why they chose Craven. If I'm picking a Spider-Man villain I want to develop, it would not be Craven. It would be, I don't know, maybe Harry Osborn or shucks. Who else is interesting? I can be I mean, Morbius is really the only one that's gotten his own solo series in the past. Craven might have something way back in the day. I mean, but shucks, bring Dr. Octopus back and do a Spider-Man story where Dr. Octopus is Spider-Man, just like he has been in the comics recently. Let Black Cat have a movie. She's an interesting character that they could develop separately. Her comic book blew up recently too. It was great. Travel Foreman did the first few issues of that. It was really good. All right, Jeff. MCU Spider-Man is hindered by the universe. Yeah, definitely is. That's exactly what it is. So it's the perfect way to put it. The character is hindered by being a part of the universe. I know all of us as fans, when he came out in Civil War, we were all really excited to see him more deeply integrated. But I mean, I would argue that aside from Thor, Captain America, Iron Man, everybody else has lost out. Only Thor, Captain America, and Iron Man have won. Everybody else got shortchanged. Hulk has definitely got shortchanged. World War Hulk was a whole saga in the comics, and it was just an afterthought in Thor Ragnarok. He never got to have his revenge and come back to Earth because he got blasted against his will. Here it was something he decided to do himself, so they never had Planet Hulk happen. I mean, Black Widow, of course, just now got a solo movie, and it was trash. Well, not trash, but not the Bourne Identity, not that cool ground level street comic like the Marvel Knights stuff. So she didn't get to do her own James Bond thing. Hawkeye, of course, just pops in and out. He was evil in the first Avengers, and now he's getting a TV show, but it's his daughter's TV show. So yeah, I don't think the universe thing worked out for anybody except Captain America, Thor, and Iron Man. Of course, Iron Man broke the whole universe and made it possible, but yeah, nobody else has had any real luck. Falcon didn't get to be Falcon very often. He was Captain America after a movie and a half, because he wasn't really, okay, he was in Civil War a little bit, but the focus shifted to Black Panther, shifted to Zemo, and he kind of got second fiddle. Anyway, so yeah, Jeff, you're right, definitely right. Spider-Man is hindered by the universe, but I think the whole MCU is hindered by the universe right now, honestly. Orange and I are doing good, just working on some stuff. I did watch Oswald Shut, exactly what I thought it was going to be. I don't care for it, but I enjoy seeing all of it. Yeah, Oswald Shut. No, okay, why do you say you didn't care for it? Was it boring to you, or you said it's what you thought it was going to be? So what did you think it was going to be? Why you say you didn't like it? Where would you put it on the list of Stanley Kubrick's movies? Where would you place it or rank it from what you've seen of his work? Yeah, why didn't you like Eyes Wide Shut? That's interesting. I'm curious. Jeff Hill, everything needs to connect back to the universe. Alan McGuire. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, everything needs to connect back. I don't think the connections help. The connections are hurting. The connections are being used as a crutch. Even in the comic books now, Spider-Man deals with problems like Kindred alone. And Kindred, although I don't really understand 100% how it's working, it ties back into his life outside of Spider-Man. The Spider-Man life is seasoning. Him in costume should be a minority of the time. He should be Peter Parker most of the time. Everybody else is the hero. Captain America should be in his outfit with the mask on 99% of the time. Thor, you run around with the blonde hair, with the big beard, with the helmet on, striking people with lightning 99% of the time. But I mean, Iron Man, yeah, he should be doing Iron Man stuff. I really don't care too much about the Tony Stark espionage, corporate, whatever stuff he be doing. So he could be Iron Man the whole time. But Spider-Man, his life is way more interesting than being Spider-Man, being in costume, doing superhero antics. The point is to try to squeeze in the superhero antics as much as possible here and there. But mostly I'm a kid. So anyway, that started turning back into another speech again. Oh yeah, the part where the girl that ended up using her for money was, yeah. I was expecting a slash. You were expecting a slasher part in Eyes Wide Shut. You were expecting for it to turn into more of a horror movie. What do you mean when you said I was expecting a slasher part? Uh, Jeff, I didn't even ask you. What's your favorite Spider-Man out of the ones that you've seen? Or where do you think the series could improve? The movie series, I mean. Do you like the new ones, the John Watts ones? What's your favorite Spider-Man movie so far? Anyway, I'm gonna pop back over here to my little solicitations. Y'all feel free to hop in and talk about Eyes Wide Shut and Spider-Man much as you want. They never do an Eyes Wide Shut Spider-Man. It would be interesting to see them do an Eyes Wide Shut with Tony Stark, an Iron Man type Eyes Wide Shut story where he's in that rich and famous world and dealing with these underworld characters. James Herron brought it up a little bit in Ultra Mega. He touched on it just a little dab, like one panel or two panels. But anyway, yeah, more Arthur Adams. You can see, might be able to see it. I don't know if you can see it. But yeah, Arthur Adams cover here looks really good. I might have to just go find a link or something so y'all can check it out, look it up when you want. But the Immortal Hulk, the conclusion to Al Ewing's story. I love Al Ewing. Al Ewing is my favorite writer in all of Marvel. Probably one of my favorite in all of comics. I've been liking him since the Ultimates, his version of the Ultimates that had Blue Marvel, Black Panther, Captain Marvel. I mean, I guess you're not supposed to like that part because it's woke or SJW or something, but I thought it was cool. I like the idea of bringing together a group of cosmically minded people to battle those bigger threats. Actually curious to see if they'll try to adapt it at all in the live action stuff. Now we got Celestials being introduced. Now the Eternals are being introduced. Kang is introduced. So I'm curious to see, and America Chavez is going to be coming up. So parts of the Ultimate Group are going to be in this next phase of comics. I mean, of comic book film. So curious to see what they do with that, where it goes. X-Men #1. They reboot X-Men a lot. They reboot all of Marvel a lot. I don't know why they reboot so much. Not sure what that's about. They reboot 300% too many times. Nothing has to reboot that much. I don't know if I'm gonna get to it today. Maybe tomorrow. But I mean, Marvel's been rebooting, and your boy Zach was talking a lot of trash. He feels like comic books are pretty much doomed. Your boy Zach from Comics Matter, I think he's Richard Mayer. He's a really good video creator, YouTube content guy. And Perch is kind of on the other end of the spectrum. Your boy Zach seems like he's content with the comic book industry just being destroyed and, going up in flames. I don't know why, but I do know why. He's kind of reserved himself. I think he was more offended and more upset by everything going on in comic books and how woke it was getting a few years ago. So now he's just over it. Perch feels like we're in more of a purge or a Phoenix situation where we might be teetering, or there's a chance things are going a little bit left, but overall things are pretty healthy. So I'm gonna actually break it down. I got this comic book. I got Captain America issue 6. Yeah, the Rick Remender issue 6, because your boy Zach said Captain America has not been good since 2015. I believe this was this is June 2015, so this is right in the middle of 2015. This is when he said comic books turn to trash. So found that, went to the comic book shop, picked that one up. What else? I just went today because I'm doing a video series, your boy Zach versus Perch. Who's right? Then I went and found this Captain America issue 6. So I found another issue 6 because, like I said, Marvel reboots way too much. So yeah, Steve Rogers, Captain America issue 6. There's also a Sam Wilson Falcon issue 6, but whatever. I'm not getting into all that, splitting too many hairs. Then I also found Ta-Nehisi Coates' issue 6 because, again, Marvel reboots way too much. So I'm going to compare all 3 of these issue 6s. I'm just going to go through the list. Your boy Zach said that this is supposed to be the best one, the oldest one from 15. Then we have this one from, I want to say this is 2017, and then this one is 18. So yeah, this is supposed to be the most trash one. Ta-Nehisi Coates supposed to be the most garbage writer in all of Marvel. I like him as a writer when it comes to his essays, so we'll see if it's trash. So yeah, I'm going to compare the most, I guess the most good comic and the most terrible comic. So that was Marvel. Then on the DC side, I found Justice League 29 from around the same time. Let me see. When does this come out? My favorite artist on it, Doug Mankey, the greatest artist in all of comic books, and my favorite artist. Doug Mankey is the greatest artist in all of comics. When did this come out? This is a Forever Evil tie-in book. Let me see. Where is it? Where's the publication date? Okay, so this is from 2014. So yeah, this is a 2014 comic. We're going to compare that to Justice League issue 29, Year of the Villain. So yeah, again, they reboot too much. Oh yeah, Year of the Villain was more recent. Rebirth. Rebirth is the other one. So there's issue 29 Rebirth, issue 29 Forever Evil, issue 29 Year of the Villain. So yeah, all of these, interestingly enough, they all have some kind of a event tie-in element. So all of DC's books, this is just random. I just randomly went through and found some based on your boy Zach's claim that ever since 2015, comic books have turned to trash. We're going to get to the bottom of it. I don't know if I'm going to do that video on the live stream tonight or live stream tomorrow, but I'm going to break that down and see if Perch is right and there's still hope, or if your boy Zach is right and all is lost. Jeff Hill, I really enjoyed Homecoming first watch. That being said, I did not feel a need to rewatch it, and I find John Watts has a lack of voice. Yeah, John Watts definitely has a lack of voice. That's why they love him. He will just come in. He knows how to just get the movie done on budget, on time. No stress, no problems. Actors never complain about him. They love him. So they're bringing him back for the Fantastic Four, too. They need somebody that just stand in front of the camera, make sure everybody's there, make sure everything's lined up, the cinematographers doing what they're supposed to do, and then we get in and out on time. And the actors come out the trailer and hit their lines. So that's why they bring him back. But yeah, I agree. I don't think he really has any visual style or flair or, like you said, a voice or a take on the character, or any real opinions. I feel like the most visually interesting stuff he did was the Mysterio scene. I already mentioned the construction scene stuff in Far From Home. I think Homecoming was pretty much forgettable besides Michael Keaton. As far visually, I think the Vulture character is really interesting and intimidating, but performance-wise, Tom Holland was all right. Michael Keaton, of course, was always on point. He never fails. He's always excellent. I don't know why they didn't want Zendaya to be Mary Jane from the beginning, or there was controversy about her being Mary Jane, or they said no, she wasn't, or what. I don't know. It was weird. That was dumb. They should have just said yes, she is, and got over that. Really enjoyed Homecoming. Yeah. Amazing Spider-Man 2 still has the greatest swinging scene. Yeah, Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2, I think, don't get enough credit. I think color-wise, visually, Electro was brought to life very well, very dynamically. His glow, the way the energy blast came off of him. I think visually, Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2 it looked pretty good. 1 was kind of muddy because the Lizard was kind of like a muddier, darker, murkier character. And I feel like when they fought kind of towards the end and when he was trying to get the gas out, it's kind of hard to differentiate him from the background sometimes. But overall, very comic booky, you know. I think you're right. Spider-Man 2, Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2 let him be a little bit more spidery, a little bit more almost like a Todd McFarlane drawing. Homecoming, they kind of dialed that back and made him more human and just kind of like a casual swinger, more like in the more recent video games. Anyway, not excited about what's doing Fantastic Four. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I hadn't even read that yet, and I was talking trash. So yeah, I'm on the same page. I'm not entirely sure why they hopped in with John Watts again. I guess his schedule is open, and they just needed somebody who could just hop directly in, lock it in, soon as this Spider-Man 3 drops, get him straight into pre-production on Fantastic Four and not have to worry about if they can deliver or if they can get the movie done or if they're agreeable to work with, blah, blah, blah. Because technically this will be his first Marvel movie. Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3 were with Sony. So Marvel must like him, like how he works. He stopped in and seen him on set. Kevin Feige stopped by and seen how he gets down and likes the way he does business. So, I mean, that's interesting. That's pretty cool from that perspective that he can get the respect of Kevin Feige's of the world. But yeah, John Watts is not my first choice. I would say my first choice. Who would be my first choice? Ben Affleck might be interested in directing it. I don't know if he would direct it if he couldn't be Mr. Fantastic, but he'd be an interesting director for it. Honestly, I just saw the movie Possessor. If anybody is here watching this, if there's anyone here besides Jeff, Orange Canar, I don't know if you're still there, but either way, whoever's here, go watch Possessor by Brian Cronenberg. That was amazing. Wait, Brandon Cronenberg. My bad. Brandon Cronenberg, Possessor. He should direct Fantastic Four. That was a beautiful, beautiful movie. Possessor looked amazing. I had never heard of it or knew what it was before Friday night. It was great. Yes. So Brandon Cronenberg, that's my number one choice for the director. Would it ever happen? No. Probably about as likely as David Cronenberg directing it. But Possessor was great. Definitely my top 10 favorite movies. Out of nowhere, I did not expect Possessor to be good at all. I was just watching it late at night, trying to watch a horror movie, and it was amazing. So yeah, go watch Possessor. That was great. Who else could direct it? Who's someone that actually could, that they would actually bring in that could direct an interesting Fantastic Four movie? What's his name? Oh my gosh. He did Oblivion. Is it Joseph Kosinski? I have to look. Let me see what this man's name is. But he did Oblivion with Tom Cruise. Yeah, Joseph Kosinski. Yeah, he would be great. That would be the ideal. I think Joseph Kosinski doing Fantastic Four would be perfect. Now, would they do it and is he available? I don't know. I would have to actually see because he seems like he does a movie every 3 or so years. And I feel like he probably is already in the middle of pre-production or shooting on his next thing. Oh, yeah, he did Top Gun Maverick. So, yeah, Tom Cruise likes him. Tom Cruise probably has him doing something else. I didn't realize he was the guy doing. I actually want to see Top Gun Maverick now. I did not care about Top Gun Maverick at all, but now I do want to see it. Okay, looks like he has another movie with the guys that wrote Deadpool. Escape from Spider Web, Spider World. Got a lot of actors: Chris Hemsworth, Miles Teller, Journey Smollett. What is this called? It is called Escape from Spiderhead, and it is in post production. So that could be cool. But yeah, I wish he would jump in on the Fantastic Four. He's got an opening. That's his last movie. Doesn't look like he has anything coming out after Escape from Spiderhead. So I loved him visually with Oblivion. He has a lot of background in science fiction. He can handle the bigger stars like the Tom Cruises of the world. So I'm sure he can throw together something good for Marvel. Let me see. Oh, you want Krasinski for Miss Fantastic? No, I don't. I understand though, because he's hot because of Quiet Place. And if he was Mr. Fantastic, I'd actually prefer he directed. He actually has some pretty great scenes in Quiet Place. Haven't seen part 2 though. But the first one has some great textures, great lighting, okay pacing, some logistical issues, but not the worst in the world. Very decent new horror movie concept. The monster though. Now that's the only thing about Krasinski directing himself. If he were to do Fantastic Four, the monster for A Quiet Place is terrible and not scary at all. And it's also a CGI effect and not a practical effect, even when it's up close with the actors, like when they're sharing the frame. So it didn't look very real to me. It looked pretty lame. But yeah, other than that, I thought he was a great director. He definitely could have done Fantastic Four. They should go younger. They should go younger. Yes and no. I don't know. I don't know if they have to go younger because Krasinski's not that old himself. Probably like 40. At the oldest, what, 45? John Krasinski. I know he's not that old. He can't be that old. Yeah, he's just 41. He's not Krasinski's not that old. I think he looks older than he is sometimes when he grows a beard out, but he's only 41 now. Um who's somebody younger that could do it though? Let me process your question. Army Hammer would have been an interesting Mr. Fantastic before whatever happened in his life that destroyed him or whatever he did. I don't understand. If anybody understands what happened with Army Hammer, let me know in the comments, or you can write in the chat. If anybody knows why Army Hammer is canceled or what, I didn't understand it and it was really weird. Thought maybe he was joking or something. So I don't really get that one. Yeah, I don't fully understand what the deal was there. But yeah, he could have been Mr. Fantastic. Um, who else could do it? What's another young actor? Hmm. Hmm. Trying to think of who else I even really liked recently as young. Yes, I mean the guy that they had in Possessor. Yes, everything I say from now on will come back to Possessor. I will just talk about Possessor, why it's the best movie, why everyone involved in Possessor should get all the other roles in life for every other movie in the history of film. But yeah, Christopher Abbott, he could do Mr. Fantastic. He'd be interesting. Um, he could be the Thing. Kind of has that Thing personality, or can make the Thing. I really like Michael Chiklis. Maybe I'm not supposed to like those 10-story Fantastic Four movies, but I feel like Michael Chiklis was kind of a Bing Grim, like more of a rougher dude. Um, I mean Evan Peters. I like Evan Peters as Mr. Fantastic. That could work. Um, I mean, maybe people see him more as Johnny Storm, but I don't think he really has the Johnny Storm. I think Evan Peters would be interesting as Mr. Fantastic. Johnny Storm and the Thing. Who could be those two? Mm, mm, you know, Toby Kebbell actually would be interesting. I would like to see Toby Kebbell. I know he was Doctor Doom, but I don't care about that. I'm ignoring that. He would be great as Reed Richards or the Thing. I don't even know, but I'm gonna pause for a second here. I mean, I don't know. Okay. Oh, wow. I had to pause. First of all, so could Dev Patel, could he from the Green Knight, could he be Reed Richards? How do y'all feel about that? I feel like that would be interesting. I had to pause and kind of reflect. I would like to see that Dev Patel as Reed Richards. Is that illegal, or is that bad? I'm not trying to be woke or whatever. I just really think it'd be cool to see Dave. I think Dev Patel's a really good actor. I love to see Dev Patel, Toby Kebbell. Uh, yeah. Hey, Green Arrow, Jeff Hill. That's a good point, actually. Yeah, yeah. Green Arrow. Yeah. Hey, you can't say the ship sailed. If Chris Evans could be Human Torch and he could be Captain America, we can never say never, Jeff. Um, Orange Canara, Oblivion is great. Yes, you're right. Orange Canara, Oblivion is great. And yeah, Jeff, I just went back and read what you said. Why am I crazy for Brandon Cronenberg doing Fantastic Four? I mean, it could happen. I don't know. Maybe Kevin Feige will see Possessor and enjoy it as much as I did. And like you said, some good body horror stuff. The same stuff that they said Josh Trank was doing too much of in his version. Allegedly, I guess that they cut out because it was going too far. Yeah, Oblivion is great. Orange Canard. Yeah, Joseph Kosinski visuals phenomenal. Yeah, yeah, exactly. I feel like from Tron Legacy forward, he's never missed. Jeff, you're right. Kosinski's always been on point visually, and I feel like for a comic book movie, you have to have that visual sense. I love that he brought in Daft Punk to do the music for that too. I think Tron Legacy is slept on. It's amazing. Tron Legacy was a great movie. Um, yeah, Abbott. Okay, you're right. Abbott is better for Wolverine. And yeah, but I mean, Taron Egerton, I think, would be fine for that too because he's smaller. But Abbott does look hairier, I guess. But yeah, I think you were right about Dev Patel for Green Arrow. So now I'm trying to think of who could even be Reed Richards now. Who do I even like? I like Homeboy from Baby Driver, Ansel Elgort. I know people don't really like him, but I thought he was. I feel like they passed over him for Han Solo too. He would have been a great Han Solo in the Solo movie. But I feel like he dodged a bullet because the Solo movie was also trash. So I feel like that worked out well for him. But I'm trying to think who could be Ben Grimm. It's really I don't know why I can't think of any actors right now. I'm blanking on the most recent generation of actors. But yeah, I love to see Dev Patel as Green Arrow or Reed Richards. I like both of those. I like him for both of those. Now that you said that. And I don't know. I guess you're supposed to pick white actors. I'm really neutral on the race bending thing. I think it's just if it makes sense. I think sometimes they race bend people too far. Like it wouldn't make sense to race bend Batman. Batman being race bent would defeat the purpose of Batman. If he's black, it wouldn't. How would you be black but also part of this family that's existed in Gotham since before the country was founded? That doesn't really make sense. I always felt like Iron Fist should be Asian. I felt like Iron Fist's whole backstory would make way more sense. He was Chinese, like half Chinese, half American, and then he goes to China with his family, like to reconnect, and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna show you your true heritage. You're too spoiled, blah blah blah." And then, of course, the regular Iron Fist origin happens, and he gets stranded, and then he's hiking on the mountain, comes across Kunlun. Like that would make more. I don't know. To me, it made more sense if he was Chinese, because otherwise, why is Iron Fist family just randomly in China? I don't know. It was kind of weird. Or like people got mad about Hawkman being Aldous Hodge. Hey, Aldous Hodge is good in Invisible Man. Go watch Invisible Man. He was good in that. And I think he was in one of the Purge movies too. He was good in the Purge. But Aldous Hodge's Hawkman makes sense because Hawkman is Egyptian. So like that makes more, to me, that would make more sense than if it was a white actor as Hawkman, because Hawkman in the comics is from Egypt. So I don't know. Sometimes it's like people get offended about the race being in there, but that makes it. Or Dr. Fate. Dr. Fate is Egyptian. So it's like, I don't understand what we're doing here. Or not necessarily Egyptian, but he's an archaeologist. But wouldn't it make sense for an Egyptian archaeologist to come across this helmet even if it's like an assistant archaeologist to somebody else, British or something. Just saying. Hold on. I'm going to go through some of these technical difficulties real quick. I'm going to have to change my location here in just a moment. I'm not going to get off the live stream. I'm going to just get this straight really quickly, and then we're going to be okay. I got to just ever so briefly move over, change my location here real quick. So it's going to be a very brief transition period. Bear with me as I change venues. Changing things up a little bit. Live. Going live here. Just spur of the moment. We'll make it work. Just a second. All right. Hold on. And it might echo, but it's okay. All right. Hello. I don't know if y'all can still hear me. This room is under construction, so now I can talk a little bit more. All right. And stop being interrupted so much. So let me know if y'all can hear me. If not, I'll start over. But yes, Christopher Abbott underrated. He would be a good Wolverine. Ship Shelton. Okay, Jeff, with the Ansel got a punchable face. Okay. Yes, I kind of see your point with that a little bit. But I mean, isn't that Reed Richards' deal? I mean, isn't Reed Richards kind of that like more like that's Doctor Doom's thing? Like Doctor Doom resents him. He has that like he looks like, oh my gosh, like, oh, you have everything together and blah blah, and you're always a step ahead. You're always kind of smug about it. So I don't know. I feel like that's part of. I feel like that reinforces my point about Elgort being Reed Richards. He also seems like he's kind of tall. I don't know if he's tall, but seems like it. When I saw him in Baby Driver, he's pretty tall. Oh, and you know what? Just hit me. All right, this is definitely a fan cast that will not happen, but John Hamm could be Ben Grimm. That would be great. I think if John Hamm was the thing, I think he has the voice for it. He has the look for it. I think it would make it more tragic for him to be one of the more attractive actors out there in Hollywood. And then he turns into the big, the rock creature. So I don't know. I think that'd be cool. I don't know if y'all agree with me, but Ansel Elgort and John Hamm. And I don't know who'd be Johnny Storm. Who could be Johnny Storm? Shucks, I don't even know really. Who could be Johnny Storm? I don't know. Maybe it'd be meta. Maybe like Justin Bieber. I don't know. Maybe that's too meta. Maybe I don't know if Justin Bieber can act either. A lot of musicians are really sorry actors. So I don't know. Who else could do that? I don't know. Dang. Uh, uh, you know who could actually be Johnny Storm? All right. I know who Johnny. Okay. I got the cast. All right. Okay, here's the full cast. Wait, I don't have Mrs. Fantastic though. All right, I'll come back to Mrs. Fantastic, but Mr. Fantastic, Ansel Elgort, Human Torch, Billy Skarsgård from It, and then John Hamm is the Thing, and then who could be Mrs. Fantastic? Ooh, who could be Invisible Woman? Dang, I don't know. What is Homegirl's name? I'm about to give y'all the answer right now. Boom. Emma Watson. Yes, Emma Watson is Sue Storm. Let's go. I got it. That took me a second. I don't know why I couldn't think of her name. But yes, Emma Watson is Sue Storm. And we're in there like somewhere. Ansel got a punchable face. Yep. I don't mind race bending, to be honest. Sometimes I can see them right here. Yeah, Jeff, I agree with you. Sometimes the race bending does work for me. I know you're supposed to have like a set principle, like, no, the race bending is bad. It's always bad. No race bending. Or, oh yeah, you can race bend everything all the time, change anybody and do whatever you want and blah blah. It doesn't matter. But yeah, I think it just depends on the character, it depends on the context. I know there's kind of this issue or this whole thing about tokenization or making like a token Batman. Like the new Batman, the Jace Fox Batman is definitely a tokenized Batman. I can't sit here and say there's any reason for Jace Fox to exist as Batman. That's just the bottom line. He's a token character, up and down, token Batman. Who else recently? Miles Morales is token Spider-Man, of course. What else? Who else in comics is very tokenized? The new Aquaman wasn't always. Well, I guess he was always because he's the Black Aquaman. So yes, he was tokenized too. Black Aquaman is tokenized. Batwoman, Kate Kane as Batwoman is a token. So, I mean, I really don't have a problem with tokenized characters in principle, but I do have a problem with the token characters getting more love than like Mr. Terrific or Night Thrasher or Cyborg or who else is someone from DC that's black? Steel. Are they Steel tokens? I don't know. That's kind of confused. That's a gray area. Um, but yeah, I think if you develop the black Batman at the expense of Mr. Terrific, that's lame. I think Mr. Terrific should just get more attention, more love as a character, and then be expanded. I don't think you should just say, oh, well, we're just going to make Batman black, and then we're not going to worry about trying to develop the character. Because either way, the character development is an issue. Miles Morales, the same thing. He doesn't really have that clear rogues gallery, that clear villain, that clear reason to exist beyond just being like just a skin swap on Peter Parker, because they even did a new Clone Saga. One of the writers from the Clone Saga is in the October solicitations for Marvel. So you really have to have a reason. Any character, token, non-token, whatever, they should have a reason to exist. They should have a personality. Vixen, that's the other character I couldn't think of. Getting a Vixen character in there. Bring in characters that are black. Static Shock. Static Shock is the person. Static Shock is the black Spider-Man, but he never gets any development. They'll bring him up for a couple of issues. Like the new thing he's in now is kind of lame. It doesn't really get into his school life and everything. It turns into more like the Black Lives Matter and very lame, like surface level Black Lives Matter. I think if you want to have those political conversations in comics or in film, they should be nuanced and interesting and not just, oh, I'm black, so of course I'm a part of Black Lives Matter. Of course I don't like the police. Like that stuff is tired. And cliche, and it doesn't change it. Like the whole point of a story is to put somebody else in this other person's shoes to create empathy. But if we're just telling a cliche, corny Black Lives Matter story, and I'm like, oh, I don't like the police, and I'm rioting and stuff and protesting. Okay, the people that don't like that aren't going to be convinced by reading Static Shock, and the people that like it don't even read comic books anyway. So if you want to tell that story, it should be a balanced look at the relationship between vigilantes and law enforcement, or the reasons why black people might want to become vigilantes. Like there's interesting stuff to do, or even just moving away from all that, let Static be a high school student and let him struggle with being a high school student and balancing being Static Shock with high school, meeting his parents' expectations on the grade side and still being a superhero and hanging out with his friends and all that kind of thing. You can balance those things. I feel like race-bent characters or black characters or token character, whatever, are all in need of more attention. That's the reason why they don't do well. Kate Kane has done well as Batwoman. She was able to take off as Batwoman because she's a soldier. She's a veteran first. That was her identity first, being a soldier first. And then they went in and embellished it with additional characters, details. She gets into a relationship with Renee Montoya at one point. There's relationships. There's her family at work there. There's a lot of different stuff happening with that character outside of being Batwoman. And her identity as Batwoman is actually not even connected to Bruce Wayne. They don't really enter. Batwoman does her own thing away from the rest of the Bat family anyway, too. So she never had to rely on the Batman world and the Batman Rogues Gallery, and she did her own thing. So anyway, more people should take that route. Idris Elba. Yeah, okay, Jeff Hill, exactly. So Idris Elba is James Bond. Everybody agrees about that. I've literally heard nobody ever say Idris Elba can't be James Bond. They wanted Idris Elba to be James Bond back when Daniel Craig started as James Bond. And then when Daniel Craig was complaining about being James Bond again, going into Spectre, in between Skyfall and Spectre, people brought up Idris Elba as James Bond. So literally the entire world wants Idris Elba to be James Bond. And for some reason, the Broccoli family is just like, no, that's all right. We'll just go with whoever, some random black woman. Literally, we all agree Idris Elba should be James Bond. It's the most common sense casting ever. But anyway, and one could also argue Idris Elba can't break movies, especially with the Suicide Squad and Dark Tower and other stuff where he's been a lead. He didn't bring in any eyeballs. I mean, I would argue he never got a clean look at being a star and never been in a good movie that would give him that opportunity like James Bond, but whatever. With a good director too, like a Sam Mendes or Fukunaga, not some lame, like, no, anyway. Idris Elba should be James Bond. That's neither here nor there. I don't care if it's tokenized, whatever. Idris Elba is the best actor in the world. Aldous Hodge is great cast. Yeah, if you know, okay, if you're not offended on principle by the race bending or whatever, which again, especially for Hogman, I really feel like it makes more sense for him to be Aldous Hodge than anybody else. But anyway, if you're a real comic book reader that's been digging into the characters and you're familiar with the backstory of Hogman and you know Carter Hall, okay, yes, technically he's not black, but everything else about the character is black. Plus, Aldous Hodge looks the part, and he's already super muscular. If y'all see this man in Invisible Man, you'll be very excited to see what happens to Hawkman. He definitely, he's one of the few actors I would look at and I could see holding their own against The Rock. Like, there's not too many people physically that look like they could handle dealing with The Rock. But Aldous Hodge is one of the few. Oh, Jennifer Lawrence is Sue Storm. You know, I hadn't thought about that. Jennifer Lawrence could be Sue Storm. She never really crossed my mind. Sometimes I don't know how Jennifer Lawrence works as an actress, though. I think she's been cast in roles that play to her strengths, and sometimes she gets miscast. Like her and Mother, I feel like she was miscast in Mother with Javier Bardem. I feel like that should have been an older actress. I would have liked to see Michelle Pfeiffer do what Jennifer Lawrence did in that movie, or who's someone else a little bit younger than Michelle Pfeiffer though? Maybe Julia Roberts, or who's somebody else that could have made Mother work? Reese Witherspoon might have been interesting to see. Anyway, there are some. Point is, I don't think she was cast properly in Mother, and I don't know if she could handle the Invisible Woman thing, because once she gets into one of those roles and doesn't like it anymore, she just checks out. Like, you can tell in the movie Passengers, there's a point where she just checks out. You can tell in all of the last X-Men, in halfway through Days of Future Past, she checks out. Then in Phoenix and Apocalypse, she's just like, whatever, like, can we just get this over with? Like, you can tell after, like, halfway through Days of Future Past, the next two movies, she's out of it. Like, just forget about it. She's not feeling it anymore. And you can tell she doesn't act like she cares about it. Recasting Aquaman from a blonde white dude to a Polynesian was one of the greatest race. Yeah. And yeah, Jeff, yes. When it comes to Momoa, I don't understand why DC hasn't just made Aquaman Polynesian in the comic books. Just forget it. Let's just start over. I know that's unprecedented or bad or not supposed to do that, but I mean, it's the same. It's the exact same thing as Robert Downey Jr. and Iron Man, where now writers have even said when they write Tony Stark, they write it in Robert Downey Jr.'s voice in the comics. And I feel like Jason Momoa is Aquaman. The whole world, again, same thing with Idris Elba on James Bond. Literally, well, this is certified though, because the whole world made Aquaman $1 billion movie. Aquaman took off around the whole world. Everybody embraced the Aquaman character. Everybody embraced Jason Momoa as Aquaman. So for DC, it doesn't make sense to try to keep Aquaman be white, but make him like have the longer hair and have the tattoo. It doesn't make any sense. It's like the same. It's the same thing as in Spider-Man: Homecoming, when Peter Parker has a Genki sidekick type character, but he's not Miles Morales, and he has the little boarding school type school for smart science kids, but he's not Miles Morales. Like, him and Miles Morales switched origin stories, but they didn't just make it a Miles Morales movie. I don't know. It was weird. I don't know. Anyway, it was weird. That was a weird one. And it's the same thing with Aquaman in the comics. Just make it Jason Momoa in the comic books too. Who cares? No one is reading comic books. No one is reading Aquaman comic books. No one would notice if one day he just got the same exact name and backstory, but he was just Jason Momoa looking from now on. We just never discussed it. He just looks like Jason Momoa for the rest of his humble career. But yeah, Aquaman was amazing casting. That's the one thing Zack Snyder got right out of everything else in his movies, everything else in the writing, uh, the casting. That was the best. He's probably the best cast, definitely the best cast superhero since Robert Downey Jr. and probably the most iconic in a role since Michael Keaton as Batman. So there is that. Jason Momoa, amazing. That was great. Loved Hodge in Invisible Man. Yeah, he was good in Invisible Man. Speaking of that movie, Oliver Jackson Cohen is a great actor. Shows up in the Reserves. I was hoping he would be Moon Knight. Oliver Jackson Cohen. Oh yeah. He was in Hill House too. Yeah, he would be a good Moon Knight. I think you're right about that. I think Oscar Isaac is great as Moon Knight because then it's in like an ethnically ambiguous place. And it's like, oh, well, is he Egyptian or is he white or Mexican? Or what's happening with that? So I can kind of appreciate where Marvel came from with that. And really, Jackson Cohen could do the same, like the unhinged, mentally unstable guy. He's done that before. In Invisible Man, he did it in Hill House. He's a solid actor. He's a very solid actor. I agree with you. I think he could have done Moon Knight. He could pop up doing something else for Marvel. It wouldn't hurt my feelings. I mean, if you wanted to be Doctor Doom, he could do that. Ben Grimm. He'd be interesting as either of those two. I'd like to see him read for both. Who else? Who else has not been in a live action Marvel movie he could play? I mean, he'd be interesting as Batman. He kind of has that look, like kind of like the more dangerous, weird look. But I think he might be too big. He might be too almost in that Ben Affleck territory where you're kind of taller than everybody else, and it's awkward to be Batman with that. And then the ears make you look taller, plus the boots. Who could he be? He would be interesting as Hal Jordan, because he could be Hal Jordan as the pilot, but he could also be the Parallax Hal Jordan. So he could give you both sides of that character, the full spectrum of Green Lantern. As Hal Jordan, that'd be interesting. Trying to think of who else he could be in Marvel though, really. The Beyonder, but I don't know how much time he would actually get to be an actor as a Beyonder, or how much he would just be CGI floating somewhere. But yeah, Oliver Jackson Cohen is good, and he doesn't get enough love, and Pablo Schreiber doesn't get enough love either. I feel like Pablo Schreiber is another. Them two are really solid actors that they just pop up here and there, but they should get way more love and way more attention. Pablo Schreiber is from Den of Thieves, and I think Orange is the New Black and something else. But yeah, he's really good too. He doesn't get enough attention. You like Ezra Miller as Flash? No, I don't like Ezra. I don't understand the hype behind Ezra Miller as an actor in general. That's one of the ones. Like I used to like Sam Worthington as an actor, and nobody understood why I thought Sam Worthington was a solid actor. But yeah, Ezra Miller is that for me, where I don't understand what people see in Ezra Miller. Ezra Miller does not click. His decisions as an actor are weird. His decisions as a human being are weird. He's like a weird man. He does not. He would be good as like Toad in the X-Men movies. Ezra Miller would be great as Toad, or be great as what else? I'm trying to think. Ezra Miller could be. I don't know. I don't understand. I don't know. I don't get Ezra Miller stuff. And he's weird as the Flash. He does not look like, he was perfectly cast when it was he was in that movie. We need to talk about Kevin. He looks like the type of person that the teacher would be like, all right, go to the principal's office. I'm calling your mama because she needs to talk to you. We need to get something straight, put you on the action plan. You're out of control. You're making me nervous. Ezra Miller looks like that type of person. Pablo Schreiber is going to be Master Chief. Jeff, you think they're going to make a Halo movie? I don't think they'll ever make a Halo movie. Neil Blomkamp had a great interview with Joe Rogan too, where they broke down the his Alien movie, how Chappie kind of ruined that for him. Everybody go watch the Joe Rogan. Well, I mean, everybody watches Joe Rogan anyway, but yeah, Joe Rogan did a really good interview with Neil Blomkamp about Chappie and District 9 and all that stuff. Ezra Miller has a young Johnny Depp. Okay, Ezra Miller versus Johnny Depp. Let me consider that comparison. But Ezra Miller doesn't have an Edward Scissorhands or a Donnie Brasco. Like Johnny Depp shows his range early on in his career. He jumps out from doing Nightmare on Elm Street, jumps over to Jump Street, does the Edward Scissorhands, does the Donnie Brasco, does the Blow, Johnny Depp jumps into a lot of different modes, and it does Sleepy Hollow and the Gothic romance stuff with that. And he works with a variety of directors. He did Public Enemies with Michael Mann, but he hangs out with Tim Burton. He can move. Johnny Depp moves through a lot of different genres and a lot of different modes, and he's shown that he can handle all of them. Ezra Miller has only been the Flash, and haven't seen him do anything else. Ezra Miller, we need to talk about Kevin. Yeah, that was realistic. That was amazing. But other than that, I don't know what Ezra Miller has done that shows range, a Johnny Depp level of range. Or even Johnny Depp doing Rango, or Johnny Depp doing Pirates of the Caribbean. Johnny Depp has so many modes. He has the comedy mode, the drama mode. He sings in Sweeney Todd, he's singing. So Johnny Depp is to me, a very rare talent that can bounce between, and he can be the sex symbol, he can be the heartthrob, he can be wacky and doing what's the movie with Benicio del Toro on him? Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. He can do that type of stuff. Johnny Depp has a ton of range. Maybe the most range out of any actor. I don't know who else can do as much as him. Maybe George Clooney. Other than that, I don't know who else really could bounce. And I don't even think George Clooney could do Edward Scissorhands. I feel like Johnny Depp could have done Good Night and Good Luck, but George Clooney could not have done Edward Scissorhands. So even that, I don't know. I'd have to think of who even has as much range as Johnny Depp. Maybe Nicolas Cage. Other than that, I don't think anybody can stack up. Pablo Schreiber, Master Chief in Halo. There's a Halo TV show. Oh, okay. I didn't know there was a Halo TV show. Who is Peter Jackson still involved in that, or who's doing that? Who's making the Halo TV show? I didn't even know there was a Halo TV show. I'll look that up. Upcoming live action science fiction series. Made by who? Everything we know so far. Oh, it's on Paramount Plus. Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Steven Spielberg. What? No. Not the Robin Hood man. What? They got the Robin Hood director. And Jonathan Leesman. No. I don't know how I feel about Ninja Turtles and Battle for Los Angeles director Jonathan Leesman being around Halo. But I mean, honestly, I can't really be mad about that because Halo is that. Halo is a Battle Los Angeles Ninja Turtles type franchise. It's not like it's Citizen Kane or freaking Saving Private Ryan. Like that's not really Halo's deal. Halo is kind of that lowest common denominator action film type, Michael Bay type franchise. So it fits. They brought in the right people to make it happen. Jonathan Leesman is definitely that action, that lowest common denominator, boom boom action guy. But then where was Homeboy that did Olympus's Fall? What's the name of the director that did Olympus's Fall? Because that's who they should have brought in and let it be a Millennium film, low budget, just shoot 'em up, explosion type of situation. Let it be that type of. That was Antoine Fuqua did the first Olympus. What? Oh, I totally forgot that. That's amazing. That was Antoine Fuqua that did that movie? Yeah, I like Antoine Fuqua anyway. Well, that's crazy. I didn't even remember that he did that. Yeah, Antoine Fuqua should have done the Halo movie. TV show. Not Jonathan Leesman, but anyway, whatever. What can you do? Steven Spielberg's producing it, so he's going to bring who he wants to bring in. And it might actually happen since it's on. I didn't know it was on the streaming service. So yeah, that makes it a lot more likely to happen now because streaming services need content. The Witcher thing blew up on Netflix, so everybody wants to create their own Witcher. Everybody wants their Witcher series. So yeah, that's interesting. I didn't even know that was gonna happen. That's kind of intriguing. We will see how that goes. Where was I at? How do I share my? I can't even share my screen, can I? No, I can't. Can't do that. What if I do that? No. No. Not that either. All right. Well, I don't know how you screen share, but I'm gonna hop over to these October Marvel solicitations again and see where that goes. Also, I'm like a month behind. But hey, what can you do? My son just randomly picked this book up at the store, so I'm going to talk about it. All right, already talked about Venom, talked about Spider-Man. Sarah Kelly's on Spider-Man. Now that is amazing news. That's great. Sarah Kelly on Amazing Spider-Man is going to be amazing because Sarah Kelly is an amazing artist. She just dips and dabs in and out of regular comic book work, but I missed her ever since she left after Spider-Man 2. She hasn't been seen again. She popped up on Fantastic Four for a little while with Dan Slott, then she disappeared again. But okay, there's a Dark Ages book with Tom. Okay, so Tom Taylor's doing Dark Ages here. He's also doing medieval Game of Thrones with DC. So I feel like they're kind of running that well dry, but whatever. I don't know what that's about. I don't understand what in the world is happening with Tom Taylor. Why do they want him to write every dystopian world for Marvel and DC? Why not let somebody else try out the dystopia thing? Death of Doctor Strange. Okay, so Doctor Strange is going to die right before his new movie comes out. I don't understand what. I don't understand. What? They're going to kill Doctor Strange in the comic. I don't know. Okay, so this is kind of goes back to your boy Zach's point. I don't really get it. Why would you make the movie and then coordinate with the editorial staff, and the editorial staff says yes, we'll kill the character. That's going to sell more comic books. But everybody always wants to sell more and reach new audiences and blah blah blah. But if you kill the character, what new audience are you reaching with a dead lead right as the movie's coming out? Anyway, I don't get that one. Jeff, do you consider yourself a comic book movie fan or comic fan first? I don't know. I guess if you're being really super transparent, I would consider myself an comic book animation fan first. My introduction to the characters, all the comic book characters, were from Bruce Timm doing Batman the Animated Series, or what Paul Dini was doing when he created Harley Quinn, or the X-Men animated series on Fox Kids, or the Static Shock cartoon from Dwayne McDuffie. All of that was more, I was more familiar with that first, and then going over to the Batman Adventures comic that was an adaptation of the Batman from Bruce Timm, and then seeing my dad collecting the comic books put me more in touch. I wouldn't have known what a comic shop was if not for my father collecting comic books. So um, I think over time, everything else kind of grew. I guess, I don't know, I guess it's animation and comic books because I wouldn't have been interested in film and the broad variety of topics brought up in films without first going to comic books and reading The Walking Dead, Invincible, and The Boys and Preacher, and seeing that there are more genres to entertainment outside of superhero entertainment. So comic books kind of broadened my interest beyond just superheroes because I wasn't interested in any other movie except superhero movies, but reading other comics opened me up to caring about other kinds of entertainment, other kinds of media. Um, but I would say first I was into the animation of before anything else, comic books or the films. I was into the animated TV first. Um, Even if it's Space Ghost, Coast to Coast, not even realizing Space Ghost was a DC character until his series, I want to say maybe like in 2005 or 2006, after I'd seen Space Ghost Coast to Coast, prepared me to go to the shop and go find his book and go chase it down and read it. And of course, my dad being a big Space Ghost fan too. Um, so yeah, my first few comic book interactions were all based around cartoons, some kind of an adaptation between a cartoon and a comic. Between comic books and movies, I'm more a fan of comic books. And the reason why I would say I'm more a fan of the comic books is because there have been more good comic book stories than there have been good comic book movies. So if I were to really stop and think about it, how many good comic book movies really exist? Going back to the beginning, Superman, Batman 1989, Darkman, Blade 2, Spider-Man 1 and 2, The Dark Knight, Iron Man 1, Avengers, and then Captain America Winter Soldier, and that's probably the last good super comic movie. What else? Maybe Thor 3 and Black Panther after that. Everything else, I haven't really been any. And the standard for being classic is something rewatchable that I will watch more than twice, or I have watched more than twice. Black Panther I've seen more than twice. Thor Ragnarok I've seen more than twice. Winter Soldier I've seen more than twice. Yeah, none of the other movies really stand up to those out of Marvel. And then DC, all the new stuff is not really going to stand to. I guess I enjoy Aquaman, but it's not a classic. I enjoy Shazam. It is not a classic. I like parts of Wonder Woman 1, but it's not a classic. And Wonder Woman actually is another point when it comes to the animation side, because the animated Wonder Woman movie is amazing. The first animated Wonder Woman movie directed by Lauren Montgomery is phenomenal. It makes the live action Wonder Woman look terrible. And the fight scenes in the animation by Lauren Montgomery, she's an amazing fight choreographer and does great boards herself. So Lauren Montgomery adds a whole nother layer to the choreography, to the movement of the character, and adds a lot of great physicality. Same with Justice League War. In the cartoon Justice League War, Wonder Woman is great and a lot more dynamic. Rosario Dawson has a really good vocal performance. Gal Gadot is just a female version of Jean-Claude Van Damme. Jeff, does Gal Gadot not sound like Jean-Claude Van Damme? Her and Jean-Claude Van Damme have the same tone of voice, same cadence. They're the exact same, except Gal Gadot is a woman. Other than that, Jean-Claude Van Damme and Gal Gadot are the same. They sound exactly the same. It sounds like she's doing a Jean-Claude Van Damme impersonation when she talks. But anyway, true, but there's more comic books than comic movies. Okay, yes, Jeff, yes, you're right. There are more comic books than there are comic book movies. But all the comic book movies go back to the same characters. They always go back to Batman. They always go back to Spider-Man. They always go back to Superman. And they get them all wrong every time. They find new ways to get them wrong each time they bring. So they've had enough opportunities to come up with some solid stories, but they haven't used the opportunities they have. So you're correct. I agree with you. There have definitely been way more comic books than there have been comic book films. But if you keep going to the same characters, you would think you get it right more. We really don't have very many good comic book movies, even though they keep you, there's Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3, Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2, Spider-Man Homecoming, Far From Home, No Way Home. So we've got 8 Spider-Man movies already done, 8 wrapped. And we only have Spider-Man 1 and 2 as certified classics out of 8 attempts. So there's also an argument that could be made that there's no consistent classic Spider-Man run. I would say Stan Lee and Steve Ditko, original stuff, the John Romita Sr. stuff, parts of John Romita Jr. with J. Michael Straczynski. I know I'm not supposed to like it, but I like Moreland. I'm sorry. I thought that was a pretty interesting villain and put Spider-Man in a very interesting position, predicament as a character. All right. Probably not supposed to like Moreland, but anyway, I like Moreland. When else has Spider-Man really just been? Of course, Todd McFarlane on Spider-Man was crazy, but story-wise, Todd McFarlane did not do an amazing story. It was just like a lizard story. It wasn't anything crazy. Of course, Brian Michael Bendis on Ultimate Spider-Man. But there have been, even though there are a ton of comic books, there haven't been a lot of super legendary runs on the characters. Well, that's not true because Batman has had quite a few great stories, but that's not fair because everybody likes to write Batman. Gal Gadot is fine, but if I'm going to be objective, she's not a great actor. Yeah, exactly. Gal Gadot is the same as Jean-Claude Van Damme. Anybody that likes Jean-Claude Van Damme, anybody likes Bloodsport, Time Cop, Expendables 2. I think he was a villain of Expendables 2. I don't remember if he was the villain for 2 or 3. But anyway, if you like Jean-Claude Van Damme, you have to like Gal Gadot. If you don't like Gal Gadot, then you don't like Jean-Claude Van Damme. There's no excuse. Anything else is a double standard. That's that. Because neither one of them is an amazing actor, like you said, Jeff. So, yeah, that's that. She's kind of sorry. And she didn't do that well. I feel like they tried to make Wonder Woman 1984, and they said, we don't need Chris Pine. We don't even need that guy. We'll figure it out. And then they had her screen test by herself, or just they saw her at the script readings with no Chris Pine to bounce off of. Like, oh no, this is a disaster. We have to bring Chris Pine back somehow, please. Anything. Her chemistry is horrible with every other actor. How can we make this work? And they just came up with that Wishmaster stuff. But yeah, Gal Gadot's not good. But that's fine because you can always use actors that just have one gear. You just have to be using that gear. You just have to know. Joss Whedon did a good job with that one with the Avengers movie. I mean, Samuel Jackson is not the most dynamic actor in the world where he's just so everywhere and versatile with his range. He's playing himself as whoever at this point in his career. So Joss Whedon's able to plug him in as Nick Fury, give him those right lines, feed him that right stuff, put him in the right positions, give him that quick little action scene on the helicarrier where he's boop, 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 shooting and stuff. Chris Hemsworth is not the great. I feel like if Chris Hemsworth was the greatest actor, Black Hat would have been a success, and his Netflix movie would have been good. Now, his Netflix movie was pretty successful, but he's not the best actor in the world. He's like Dave Bautista. Chris Hemsworth and Bautista are at the same level of acting ability. Chris Hemsworth just looks better than Bautista. But yeah. Acting is hard. Not everybody can do that one. But Joss Whedon put Chris Hemsworth in some good places. It utilizes comedic timing pretty well. Opened it up to come back up in Thor 3. So Batista's getting better. Yes. Batista's getting better, but he's also getting, whoever his agent is amazing. Batista has a great agent. Batista was in Blade Runner, was great in Blade Runner, and Army of the Dead. He's great there. He got his movie with Kumail Nanjiani. Batista gets a lot of good looks. He's in Guardians of the Galaxy. He never misses a Guardians of the Galaxy movie. He's on point. He shows up for all those. Infinity War. Yeah, Batista's it gets a lot of good movies though too. He's in Dune, I think too. Batista's in Dune, I want to say. So yeah, his agent needs more love. Batista has gotten a lot of good looks at the basket. He's gotten a lot of clean looks to really come in and bring something to the table. Work with some good directors. I mean, I'm sure he learned a lot. James Gunn, I'm sure, just taught him a lot, gave him a lot of good basic ropes with the first Guardians of the Galaxy. Batista's getting better. Batista and Cena. John, if you're talking about wrestling, well, if you're talking about either one, Batista's better. I like Batista's both. And Batista's a much better. John Cena is not acting. I've never seen a movie where John Cena is acting. He's just himself. He just reads the lines. I don't think I've ever seen John Cena in a movie where he's not in his persona as John Cena. There's no vulnerability there whatsoever at all. The best John Cena movie is Blockers. And that's pretty much just him doing the John Cena persona, but as a dad, which was cool. It's a good juxtaposition. I don't know if the character was written that way. It was written for John Cena. For that was amazing because Blockers is by far the best use of John Cena in the movie. In 12 rounds, I guess, but 12 rounds is just like an action movie. So of course he'd be good in the action movie. But yeah, John Cena cannot act. He has no ability to change the inflection of his voice. He can only talk in his John Cena tone of voice. He can't do anything. So yeah, John Cena doesn't really emote. Batista can give us some range and kind of go some places. Even in Army of the Dead, when he was supposed to be the dad and he's supposed to no, I care about you. Like I feel like he yelled at his daughter or screamed for her and his voice kind of cracked. Like it seemed like he had thoughts. It seemed like there were things going on in his head. Batista seems like he's acting like he's thinking. He's reacting to the other performers. And in Infinity War, Batista in Infinity War, when he was just standing still, and just the comedic timing in that scene where it's Peter Quill and Gamora, and he's in the background. That was great. He really landed that joke. That was really amazing. That's a very underrated scene in that movie. I think Cena shows some chops in Suicide Squad. Okay. I know what you're saying when they were fighting and it was him and Rick Flag, and he hit him upside the head with a toilet. Yes. And I think also some of that is James Gunn. I think you have to give James Gunn his credit for putting John Cena in a situation, putting him in a situation where he could be a little bit more vulnerable, where he's more beaten up, broken down, and it's kind of this knockdown, drag out situation. B, I think it was great to put him up against Rick Flag and not Idris Elba, because acting with Idris Elba, I feel like being in the theater and watching an Idris Elba movie makes all men uncomfortable. That's why, I don't know if I've ever said it before, but I feel like Idris Elba flops because he's too attractive and he's too intimidating to men and they don't want to go watch him. Like Idris Elba is just too. He looks too good. His voice is great. He's in great shape. He's always a good actor in every movie. Like you don't want to take your wife or your girlfriend and go see it. That's like what? It's intimidating. It makes me feel like I have an inferiority complex. I don't even have an inferiority complex. But yeah, okay. John Cena with someone else like a Joel Kinnaman. When Joel Kinnaman seemed like he was actually trying in Suicide Squad. I was very surprised. I thought he was just gonna chill and just kind of do whatever and just kind of phone it in. But he had Rick Flag was actually kind of brought to life in the Suicide Squad movie. Um, so I think Cena had something to work off of. And I feel like when someone is really bringing it, and I know James Gunn was giving him, I think his makeup, like when he was beaten up and he looked like he was in really rough shape or he was really dusty, I feel like they gave Cena a lot of good fuel to kind of bring that manic energy and get worked up and do what he needed to do in the scene. James Gunn really alley-ooped John Cena that whole sequence when it's him and Rick Flag alone. All of the back and forth, all of the tension there, I feel like James Gunn developed it really well and contrived a situation where John Cena could really shine and shaped and molded him to really work. I feel like that was. I feel like overall in the whole movie, Peacemaker has lines that can work in that John Cena tone. He gave him lines that work, whether or not I understand the comedy and everything I'm saying perfectly, or I hit the right cadences or whatever, and pacing back and forth. It's okay if I feel like I'm a little bit oblivious because Peacemaker is a little bit oblivious. So I feel like James Gunn gets a lot of should get a lot of credit for that because he did it with Batista too. So it can't be a coincidence. He just knows how to use those non-traditional actors. Particularly near the end of Rick Flag. Oh, okay. So I have talked about the Idris Elba thing before. I think that's real. That's a real theory. I've never seen anybody else talk about it, but that's a real. There's no other reason why. There's no reason why he should not be at the level of Will Smith or Denzel or somebody like that in America. But because women love every time I'm around family, they always like his movies. If I show a movie, if I'm around my aunts, nephews, anybody, nieces, if I'm around family, they all want to see his movies. He had a good one on Netflix, maybe 22 Blocks. What was the movie called? 22 Streets, 22. Anyway, he had a good Netflix movie, or it was a movie that came onto Netflix and took off. Gunn definitely brings out the best in his actors. Yes, James Gunn is great with actors. Which is why I didn't understand why I didn't like Suicide Squad more because I feel like he did not use Harley Quinn very well. And usually he's really good with actors, like you said. Feel like he's good with actors. Usually his jokes are better, but the Weasel, the stuff with Weasel killing children, I didn't understand like why was that fun or what was his purpose in the movie? And then he survived at the end, so I didn't really understand what that was meaning or what the purpose was behind that character. Pete Davidson was all right, but Nathan Fillion, I mean, I didn't understand why Nathan Fillion was in the movie. It didn't make sense from a comedy standpoint or from logistically as a character to be used in that mission. I didn't know what his purpose was. Um, Sylvester Stallone is King Shark. King Shark not being a practical effect was weird. I don't understand why King Shark wasn't a practical effect, at least in close up. B, I don't know why Sylvester Stallone was cast as King Shark because the character is fairly intelligent. I don't know. I didn't understand. Um, the Harley Quinn fight scene was good. I feel like Harley Quinn had better fight scenes in Birds of Prey. Like the scenes in Birds of Prey when she's at the beginning when she's breaking into the police department, then B towards the end when she's down in the evidence room beating up cops. I mean, maybe that's not fair because it was the John Wick second unit team. The John Wick team came and did that part of Birds of Prey, so maybe it's not a fair comparison. But um, I feel like Harley Quinn was better in Harley Quinn was better in Birds of Prey. I feel like they got more out of the Harley Quinn character in Birds of Prey. I feel like she was more well rounded as a character in Birds of Prey. I don't think she got that much to do in Suicide Squad. Which I mean is fair. Suicide Squad had more people in the cast overall, so it wasn't just the three Birds of Prey characters. Um, but at the same time, she could have been. I don't know. I don't know. I would have to understand. I would have to talk to James Gunn or talk to producers on Suicide Squad because I don't understand why that team was chosen, and I don't understand why that villain was chosen for that team. So I don't really. Either the team in Suicide Squad should have been a different composition of characters, or the villain should have been a different main villain, and also in a different setting because I didn't really understand what I don't know what the story was supposed to get out of being set in a ethically compromised government in South America somewhere or Central America somewhere. I don't know what the point is of doing that and bringing that up, but really making no points about American foreign policy. It just seems like a weird. It's cool if you don't want your movie to be political or if you don't want to talk about dictatorships and banana republics, but then why put your characters in a banana republic if you don't want to discuss the politics of American imperialism around the world? So I don't know. I don't know. Suicide Squad was it was confusing to me. It was kind of awkward. Um, because there were a lot of good character moments in a weird movie that didn't not weird like the characters were weird like I couldn't understand why the story was composed in the way it was composed. um I liked how Suicide Squad was supposed to Harley. She was more used as side character, which is fine. I really don't have a problem with that, but that's not really my issue with it. Just a second. All right, yeah. She wouldn't focus on Harley. She would more use soccer. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Trying to think of a time she's been using side. I mean, she's kind in her cartoon. She's kind of a side character in some of the episodes of the cartoon, but I still like the way she used there. Batman Arkham Asylum, Batman Arkham City. She's a side character there too. Um, what else? She's just. I mean, most of the time she is a side character. She wasn't really a main character until maybe around the time of Injustice really taking off. Like 10 years in the last. It's been more in the last 10 years that she's taking center stage as a character. I feel like maybe in Injustice 2, when they made uh when they made her more of a lead role in that, she started taking more of a lead role overall. Got her solo comic. Um I think Amanda Connor and Jimmy Palmiotti kind of sat down and tried to flesh her out. What else? That's all been in the last 10 years, though. More in the last 30 since she was created, she was more like the 20 years before that. She's been more of a side seasoning character, which I think she's better as. I don't really think she needs to be a main character. It wasn't about the American foreign policy and stuff like that. The movie scene was more in main characters. Yeah, exactly. Okay, I agree with you, Jeff. When you're saying that it wasn't really about American foreign policy, yes, I agree. But at the same time, why bring it up, or why put the thought in my head that the movie could be about American foreign? I feel like if you want to have the movie just be an action movie, or even like you're saying, a movie that's about character development and how even though I'm this horrible person, I can still have some redeemable qualities. I feel like they accomplished that in Ocean's 11 and 12 and 13. I never, we never get into politics and that. Politics never crossed my mind in those movies. Or, Terminator 2, where Arnold Schwarzenegger goes from being this Jason Voorhees horror character in the first movie to redeemed in the second movie. And I never think about politics or anything in that action movie scenario. But as a writer, I would try to put the characters in a situation with, like, okay, your point is correct. The story is about how even the worst people have redeemable qualities, but the villain doesn't bring that out of the characters. Like, the villain isn't a person that decided that they're going to be evil anyway and not repent. That would have been a good place to contrast them with Deathstroke, or them with who's a villain that's just always going to be a villain. Them with I don't know, Mad Hatter. And Mad Hatter does the same things as Starro, controls people's minds, and maybe he just wants to stay evil. Who's someone else? I don't know. Mirror Master. Mirror Master is just evil. He wants to stay evil. He's a mirror man. He reflects the negative qualities and then back at them. He brings out the duality in each of the characters. I don't know. There's other characters they could have used that Star as a villain didn't really bring anything out of the characters. And setting the movie up to be in the Central American Banana Republic, that didn't really do anything for the character. That didn't change anything. The movie could have been brought and dropped over into a deserted island in the Java chain of islands in the Philippines or something. Like, the setting was interchangeable. So if the setting was interchangeable, why put it there and then make oblique references to American foreign policy, or we do these things and the government, blah blah blah, will cover it up, and we need to show the truth. And make Rick Flagg's arc about revealing the truth or whatever, but then he used the child murderer in the Suicide Squad mission at the beginning with Weasel. So it's just it brought up weird questions it didn't necessarily have to bring up to get his points across. I.e. Taika Waititi's line at the end about how he rested that purpose. Yes, I definitely saw the theme, but I didn't understand what the method was to bring it about. You good? Yeah, I just had to pause. My wife called me. Star was a genocidal monster, yet even he was content to just float in space in the star. Yeah, I could see that, but again, we're having to pull extra out when we didn't necessarily have to pull. Like Black Panther is a good example. So Black Panther goes on this arc throughout the whole story. I want to be like my dad. My dad is the best king ever, blah, blah, blah. He's so cool. I'm going to be like my dad and do everything his way, and everything he did is always right and always do what dad says, blah, 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 blah. Then, my dad was actually betraying Wakanda, deserting them in different countries. Okay, that's horrible. So then Killmonger comes along. Okay, we got to destroy everything about the past. So then T'Challa's like, well, no, we don't have to destroy everything about the past, but we do need to own up to our mistakes and fix what's wrong. So then that's their Killmonger is just saying, let's destroy everything. He's saying, okay, originally I thought we need to keep everything exactly the same, but now I'm understanding that we need to change some things and respect the traditions where we got it right in the past. So that kind of villain hero interplay, or even taking it further back to Iron Man 1, Obadiah Stane is like, ooh, let's get you a little Iron Man little thing, little arc reactor. We're going to sell it, make a bunch of money. We're going to profit. This is going to be great for the company. It's going to take us to the next level. We don't have to deal with anything else. We'll do this. We'll make it a weapon. And then Iron Man's like, well, I really, based on my near-death experience, I don't know if we should be making weapons anymore, blah, blah, blah. So they have Obadiah Stane is pulling something out of Iron Man, but Starro doesn't pull anything out of the Suicide Squad. Even if Starro shot a little star and it hits somebody, and then they're like, one of them freaks out and like they have an epiphany or a near-death experience or something, or maybe like Bloodsport shoots at one of the Starros and the starfish blows up, and it like a piece of the starfish hits somebody, and one of them has like this epiphany or near-death experience, and they're like, wow, really, this is what happened? This is like, I'm dying, but I'm freaking out, but it's okay. Like, whoa, I had like this mind-expanding trip. The little Starro piece hit me. Or, like Harley Quinn, maybe like a callback to when she does the cocaine in Birds of Prey. Maybe she like injects some Starro blood or something, and she like freaks out. And it makes her really introspective, and she has like an out-of-body experience, and like she goes to the astral plane and like breaks the fourth wall or something. Like there's more, even with the character. I feel like there was more that could have been done. And I feel like he dropped in a lot of characters, and they all kind of go their separate ways, but don't bounce. Or the only people that do what I would think they need to do is Rick Flag and Peacemaker. So yeah, Rick Flag and Pete. I just watched it. Can I get your live reaction? Just watch what? All I see is dude. I just watched it. What is it? What's the it? Did the Spider-Man trailer come out? Or what's the it? Oh, the Spider-Man trailer dropped. Okay. Yeah. I'll watch it and I'll react to it right now. Why not? Let's do it. I don't know if you'll be able to hear the video, but yeah, I can do that. Let's go ahead and turn it on. It didn't pop up in my little list of new stuff to watch or whatever though. So let's see. Go to the Explore tab. See what's up with that. Click on the little movie clicker. Okay, go back to home because that did not work. The movie trailer on the YouTube search page. All right, boom. Spider-Man No Way Home official teaser. Okay, 34 minutes ago. Okay, cool. Let's watch it. Oakley Dokley. Okay. Okay, so I'm seeing that they're reading a newspaper together. Interesting that they're deciding to do this as a newspaper instead of just having them scroll through it on their phone, since last time it seemed like they were a more technologically advanced scenario. And Jake Jonah James is more like a podcast, like an Alex Jones type person. So interesting they go back and have him read the news. I think it's a cool homage to the original character, to him being a news reporter, being a photographer. So that's cool. Interesting that they make it a newspaper though, and um not on a phone again, which I believe they were at the end of part 2. It was like on a lot of screens in Times Square and then on their phones. To your point with the swinging, I'm looking at it now. The swinging does look a little bit stiff. Hey, I also this is not really a reaction to this trailer, but hey, I appreciate the way Spider-Man Far From Home ended. I thought that was a really great ending to let his identity come out. I thought it was the best Spider-Man movie ending since Spider-Man 2, because there was a real consequence for everything he went through in the movie. It's not something you can just reset and restart and forget about. We start the last movie over. I mean, we start part 3 over with a clean slate, and everything that happened in the last movie is kind of inconsequential. Like Spider-Man goes through a lot of trials and tribulations and Far From Home, and then it culminates with his identity coming out. So I like the way that ended. I like the way part 2 ended. So that's where we're at. Okay, so this is interesting for a few reasons. I didn't realize that they were going to make the movie about Doctor Strange trying to erase everybody's memory. That's interesting. That's an interesting way to bring Doctor Strange into the story. Again, I don't understand why other characters have to be brought into Spider-Man stories and Spider-Man's world and all everything, blah blah blah. But it is what it is. I think it's cool that they make the ending of part 2 the whole thrust of part 3 and the reason for the action to kick off, when a lot of times people would just write this off and be like, oh yeah, well, in between movies we got it straight and everybody got over that, or my brother showed up and I was Spider-Man at the same time, and it made everything look fake and it eliminated all that stuff, and we were able to get people to move on or something, or Demi Lovato got out of rehab, and the news story never really caught on. So yeah, it is interesting that they sat there and kind of dwelled on that story point and made the ending of the last one the beginning of this one. That's really cool. This is Is no one else really getting that idea that this is like a One More Day redo? Because One More Day never really went well. The fans didn't really enjoy One More Day. I thought it was all right, but it was just to try to go back and make it to where Peter Parker was never married and blah blah. So I don't know. The One More Day, the going back and trying to retroactively fix stuff that people don't like about continuity, that never goes well in comics. But maybe in movies it'll go different. So okay. So Alfred Molina is in the movie, but I mean Alfred Molina was talking about it in the past. So cool that they showed it. It's nice that they didn't try to talk around it. Um, I don't know. I'm still, I guess, confused. I feel like the movie's overstuffed. Um, yeah, what you said too, Jeff. Yeah, I like that they're addressing it directly in this movie and not just skipping over it. Yeah, it's good that they're not just skipping over it. Um, I think it is interesting that Spider-Man as a character does create the problem with the spell. He's able to, I guess, kind of overtalk and confuse Doctor Strange in the moment, which is definitely part of his character. He definitely just makes those inappropriate comments. He definitely overthinks. He definitely talks too much. Very nervous, in his own head a lot. So yeah, I agree with the direction with making it that he kind of brought the problem about himself by talking. It would have worked if not for him being himself, being his character. Um, so that part is cool. I thought it was going to be a little bit more lame than that, but they worked it out. Also, the movie's still coming out. I know there were a lot of rumors about it not even coming out on December 17th anymore because of all of the antics around new variants and strains and sicknesses and illnesses and um, theaters being shut down or not all theaters not being open or what's China going to do? Will it let the movie come out? And they're not letting any Marvel movies get release dates right now. So um, very brave, very brave of them to stick it on December 17th and leave it, especially since we're only, what is this? We have September, October, November. So yeah, we're only 3 months away and they just now put out the first trailer. So in their defense, like the trailer that leaked didn't even have finished special effects. So, and I figured it never made sense to me that the movie was coming out this year anyway. Felt like it was way too close. Even before the pandemic, it was way too close because Spider-Man Far From Home came out, what, in 2019? So it was really quick to turn back around, drop that one in 19, then this one dropped in 20. Like it just seemed really fast anyway. So I thought the movies were coming out too fast before we ever dealt with any uh, health related issues in the world. Um, yeah, I like that they're addressing it directly in this movie too, not just giving away identity. Let me go back and see if I missed anything Easter egg wise in the trailer. I don't think I did, but I mean, of course, Green Goblin was there. That showed up. Um, uh, I mean, the Doctor Strange reality warping stuff. So this just makes me question what is left for them to discuss in Doctor Strange 2 if we're already getting into multiverse stuff. And so are we cleaning up? So does Spider-Man 3 end unresolved and Doctor Strange 2 is cleaning up more of what was going on at the end of this movie? Um, because I guess next year is going to be Doctor Strange 2, Thor 4, and Black Panther 2. So I'm curious where all those end up because then we still have Ant-Man and the Wasp the year after that. So what's going to get resolved? I guess really is anything going to be resolved until Kang is revealed and I guess combated? Because I guess Kang, if he's the main enemy, wouldn't really pop up in Ant-Man and the Wasp in any real way. He'd probably do the same thing he did in the Loki series and just have a quick cameo and be behind the scenes pulling the strings, maybe a different Kang. And then we ultimately deal with the Kang issue in another Avenger movie. I don't know. Okay, so you're saying the multiverse could end in Doctor Strange 2. I mean, that would make sense. I feel like we can't really beat the multiverse thing to death because it's definitely a problem in real comics. In the mainstream comic world, there are definitely way too many multiverses, way too many characters, way too many offshoots. There's never a clear idea of what's going on in continuity. So I definitely agree with that. They need to just streamline it back down to one universe, eliminate all the multiverse stuff, make it much easier to understand. That would actually make a lot of sense if the multiverse shrinks back down in Doctor Strange 2. It would also make sense that they use the quantum realm moving forward because then we're dealing with the same timeline and just moving back and forth along the timeline because in the Ant-Man movies, they never end up in a multiverse. They just move along the same timeline and can't really predict how far in the past or future they show up, but they never end up in a multiverse situation. So that does make a lot of sense, Jeff. You are making sense. Um, although there's also questions about where the Scarlet Witch is going to be at the end of Doctor Strange 2 because mutants are hanging out kind of in the ether because they've been purchased. Scarlet Witch, of course, has the House of M stuff that occurred in the recent past. Well, golly, I guess it's not the recent past anymore. But anyway, she said no more mutants and all the mutants lost their power. So we could very well end up in a situation where the reverse happens and she brings mutants to life, or another Thanos situation where she takes away only superpowered people. So, but that all came as a result of what happened in WandaVision because she lost the vision and lost her family in House of M. And then that caused her to say no more mutants. So I don't know what the cause would be here that would make her kind of snap. I feel like in Spider-Man and in Doctor Strange would be more of her redemption arc and concluding that redemption arc in Doctor Strange 2 to prepare her to do battle with Kang because she'd really be the only one strong enough to battle Kang since she innately has the powers and Doctor Strange had to train to get those powers. So she's more, her hex powers are more powerful because they're natural and she can't really control them. I guess she's working on controlling them at the end of WandaVision, but she's like Broly and Doctor Strange is like Goku. Does that make sense? Is that a good comparison? Does anybody know Dragon Ball Z to understand what I'm saying? Scarlet Witch is Broly. Doctor Strange is Goku. So even though Goku's really powerful, maybe even more powerful than Broly, Broly can just kick into that next level of power because he's naturally the legendary Super Saiyan. Like he's has a different biological strain that makes him more powerful, bigger naturally. Um, so yeah, I think that's an interesting conflict to put Doctor Strange in because, well, I don't know if they'll take that angle, but it's nature versus nurture where Doctor Strange is trained to become this expert magician Wanda was handed that ability. She's had that from birth. So I wonder if they'll get into that at all or discuss that. Interesting, they didn't show Willem Dafoe at all, but I feel like if we know about Jamie Foxx already, we know about Willem Dafoe already, and then Alfred Molina has been shown, then I feel like it's a foregone conclusion that Andrew Garfield will show up. I feel like beyond the trailer mentioned Emma Stone will show up as Gwen Stacy too. So, and maybe they'll reveal the MCU version of Gwen Stacy in this too. So that would be interesting to see. Betty Brant, Gwen Stacy. Like where does the MCU feel? Where do they fit in with Spider-Man's other love interests outside of Mary Jane? Kirsten Dunst should show up. That could be interesting too. I don't know. Because she's been doing really well with Fargo, and she's kind of had a renaissance. I think she had an HBO show recently too, so she's still doing good. She's not, looking too puffy, looking too bloated. She could show up. But yep. Oh, some leaked photos of Dafoe and Fox. Oh, I didn't even know there were leaked photos of Willem Dafoe. Oh, all right, head it out. All right, man. I'll go ahead and wrap it up. I've been talking for a super long time anyway. But all right, y'all. Anybody here wants to give me a thumbs up? Please give me a thumbs up. Ended up live streaming, live reacting to the Spider-Man trailer. So appreciate everybody that stopped by. I guess I'll be back tomorrow with some more. Or anything else y'all want to talk about, make sure to leave me a comment. And I got to look at those comics and compare your boy Zach the Perch, see which apocalypse is going to happen, or if there will be no comic book apocalypse, and everything will be fine. All right. Everybody have a good night, and hope y'all enjoy that Spider-Man trailer. Go check it out for yourself. It's very interesting. All right. Thank y'all for stopping by.